Whispers of lost designs, secret symbols, and untold origins surround the American flag, stories passed down like sacred relics of the past. Did Betsy Ross truly sew the first stars and stripes, or is that just a patriotic illusion? Do hidden meanings lurk within the folds of red, white, and blue? Journey with me as we unravel the myths, decode the legends, and uncover the forgotten truths of the American flag, where history and mystery collide. Welcome to History Love, the channel where the past comes alive through untold stories and hidden mysteries. If you love diving into history's greatest legends, you're in the right place. Now let's unravel the truth behind the myths of the American flag. Some say its design was divinely inspired, others claim secret messages are woven into its fabric. But what's fact and what's just a story passed through time? Let's begin. As the wind catches its fabric, the American flag dances in the sky, a symbol of unity, sacrifice, and the enduring spirit of a nation. But beyond the stars and stripes lies a story woven through centuries, marked by change, conflict, and legend. Born in the flames of revolution, the first official flag of the United States took shape in 1777. Its 13 red and white stripes honored the original colonies that dared to stand against an empire. Its stars, shining against a field of blue, symbolized a new constellation of states, bound together by a shared destiny. Over time, as the nation expanded, so did the stars, each one a silent witness to history's unfolding chapters. Yet even the colors of this iconic banner tell a story. Red, for valor and bravery, echoes the sacrifices of those who fought for freedom. White, for purity and innocence, speaks to the ideals upon which the nation was built. Blue, for vigilance, perseverance, and justice, serves as a reminder that liberty must always be defended. With every new state, the flag has evolved, each redesign marking a milestone in the nation's journey. The last change came on July 4, 1960, when Hawaii became the 50th state, cementing the modern flag we know today. But is this really the final form of the stars and stripes? Or could history change it once again? Through the centuries, the American flag has become more than just a banner. It's a symbol of unity, sacrifice, and national pride. But as its legend grew, so did the myths surrounding it. Stories passed down from generation to generation have blurred the lines between fact and fiction, shaping the way we see this iconic emblem. Now let's set the record straight. Here's a closer look at 12 myths about the American flag, and the surprising truths behind them. Myth number 1. The flag has always had stars and stripes. Many believe the American flag has always looked the way it does today, with its signature stars and stripes. But the truth? The earliest flags of America looked very different. In 1775, before the United States even declared independence, one of the most commonly used flags featured red and white stripes but still included the British Union Jack in the upper left corner, also known as the canton. At the time, the primary role of the flag wasn't for patriotic display, it was mainly used at sea, allowing American naval ships to recognize one another. It wasn't until June 14, 1777, that Congress officially adopted a flag with 13 stars and 13 stripes, representing the original colonies. But even then, the design continued to evolve. As new states joined the Union, new stars were added, leading to 27 official versions of the flag throughout history. So while stars and stripes are now inseparable from the American flag, they weren't always there. The flag, much like the country it represents, has grown and transformed over time, each change marking a new chapter in America's story. Myth number 2. Betsy Ross created the first American flag. It's a story every American schoolchild has heard. George Washington walks into an upholstery shop in Philadelphia, commissions a flag, and Betsy Ross stitches together the first stars and stripes. A simple yet powerful tale of patriotism and craftsmanship. But is it true? The origins of this legend trace back to 1870, nearly a century after the American Revolution, when William Canby, Betsy Ross' grandson, presented the story to the Pennsylvania Historical Society. According to Canby, his grandmother shared the tale with him shortly before her death in 1836, when he was just 11 years old. However, historians, including Peter Ansoff, president of the North American Vexillological Association, have cast serious doubt on the claim. For one, there is no official record of Washington commissioning Ross to create the flag. Additionally, at the time, Washington was commanding the Continental Army and spent little time in Philadelphia, where Ross' shop was located. Perhaps the biggest issue? The first American flags weren't even designed for ground troops. They were made for naval forces, a domain Washington had little involvement in. So, who truly created the first American flag? The real answer remains a mystery, lost to history. What we do know is that the flag's design was officially approved by Congress in 1777, and its evolution continued for centuries. But Betsy Ross isn't the only mystery tied to the Stars and Stripes. Up next, let's explore another myth, one that claims the U.S. flag code has strict legal consequences. Myth number 3. Americans have always flown the flag. Today, the American flag waves proudly from front porches, stadiums, and city streets, a constant symbol of national pride. But if you had flown a flag from your home before the Civil War, people would have found it odd. Before 1861, the flag was used only in an official capacity, on ships, forts, and government buildings. The idea of ordinary citizens displaying the Stars and Stripes simply didn't exist. As historian Peter Ansoff puts it, if a citizen had flown his flag on his house or carriage, people would have thought that was strange. Why is he doing that? He's not the government. But then war broke out. With the Union on the brink of collapse, the American flag became a rallying symbol during the Civil War. Patriotism surged and suddenly flags appeared everywhere, on homes, businesses, and even stitched into clothing. Displaying the flag became a statement of loyalty to the Union cause, and this tradition only grew stronger in the years that followed. So, while we now see the flag as a permanent fixture of American life, that wasn't always the case. It took a war to turn it from a government emblem into a personal symbol of national pride. Myth number 4. Red, white, and blue have official meanings. The colors of the American flag are often said to symbolize valor, purity, and justice, a poetic reflection of the nation's ideals. But here's the truth. When the first flag was adopted in 1777, these meanings didn't exist. In reality, the colors were likely chosen for practical reasons. The red, white, and blue were already used in the British Union Jack, and early American leaders may have simply continued the tradition. The assigned meanings we know today actually came 5 years later, in 1782, when Charles Thomson, Secretary of the Continental Congress, described the colors while designing the Great Seal of the United States, not the flag. Thomson wrote that red symbolized hardiness and valor. White stood for purity and innocence. Blue represented vigilance, perseverance, and justice. Although these descriptions were never officially tied to the flag, they became part of American tradition over time. But now, let's tackle a more controversial belief. Is it illegal to burn the American flag? Myth number 5. It's against the law to burn the American flag. Few images spark more debate than a burning American flag. Many believe it's outright illegal, but the Supreme Court ruled otherwise in 1989 in the landmark case Texas versus Johnson. The case revolved around Gregory Lee Johnson, who burned a flag in protest at the 1984 Republican National Convention in Dallas. At the time, flag desecration was illegal and he was arrested. But the Supreme Court ruled that burning the flag is a form of free speech protected under the First Amendment. Since then, there have been numerous attempts to make flag burning illegal again, both in Congress and the courts, but all have failed. So while burning the American flag may be controversial and deeply offensive to many, it remains a constitutional right in the United States. Myth number 6. It's illegal to wear clothing bearing the flag. Every 4th of July, millions of Americans proudly wear t-shirts, hats, and even swimsuits featuring stars and stripes. But some believe this is illegal or disrespectful under the U.S. flag code. So, is there any truth to this? The American Legion, a group dedicated to flag etiquette, clarifies that while wearing clothing made from an actual American flag is improper, wearing clothing with a flag design is not illegal. In fact, they acknowledge that most people who wear flag-themed clothing are simply expressing their patriotism and love of country. The U.S. Flag Code, which provides guidelines on how to treat the flag, is purely advisory, not legally enforceable. That means while etiquette suggests respecting the flag's image, you won't be breaking any laws by wearing an outfit that features it. But what happens if a flag accidentally touches the ground? Does it really have to be destroyed? Let's find out. Myth number 7. A flag that touches the ground must be destroyed. Many Americans believe that if a flag touches the ground, even for a moment, it must immediately be burned or destroyed. This belief comes from a misinterpretation of the U.S. Flag Code, which states that the flag should never touch anything beneath it, including the ground, floor, or water. However, as Jeff Hendricks of the American Legion explains, this rule does not mean the flag must be destroyed if it touches the ground. The purpose of this guideline is to show proper respect for the flag, not to call for its immediate disposal over an accident. A flag should only be retired when it is worn out, torn, or no longer fit for display. If a flag briefly touches the ground but remains in good condition, there's no need to destroy it. However, when a flag does become unserviceable, burning it is the preferred method of retirement. Now let's move on to another common misconception, one that claims the US flag should always be flown at full staff no matter what. But is that really the case? Stay tuned. Myth number 8. The flag should never be flown at night. Many believe that the American flag must always be taken down at sunset, a rule often followed by businesses, schools, and government buildings. But in reality, the U.S. flag code allows the flag to be displayed 24 hours a day, as long as it is properly illuminated at night. According to Jeff Hendricks of the American Legion, this means the flag must have sufficient light so that an average passerby can clearly recognize it as the flag of the United States. This is why you often see flagpoles with spotlights shining on them after dark. So while it is traditional to raise the flag at sunrise and lower it at sunset, those who want to display the stars and stripes around the clock are free to do so, just make sure it doesn't disappear into the darkness. Myth number 9. Only a veteran's coffin can be draped with the American flag. It's a powerful and solemn image, the American flag draped over the coffin of a fallen soldier. Many believe this honor is reserved only for veterans, but that's simply not the case. According to Jeff Hendricks of the American Legion, nowhere in the U.S. flag code does it state that only veterans may have their caskets draped with the flag. This misconception likely comes from the fact that the Department of Veterans Affairs provides flags specifically for veterans and active duty service members. However, any American may choose to have their casket covered with the flag as a symbol of their patriotism. The only official guideline is that the flag should be placed with the Union, the blue field with stars, at the head and over the left shoulder. It should never be lowered into the grave or allowed to touch the ground. So, while the tradition is deeply tied to military honors, it is not exclusive to veterans. Now, let's move on to another common belief. Does the flag really have to be folded into a triangle for storage? Myth number 10. The flag must always be folded into a triangle for storage. At military funerals and patriotic ceremonies, we often see the flag folded into a perfect triangle, with only the blue Union and stars visible. This symbolic folding process is steeped in tradition, but it is not a legal requirement under the U.S. flag code. Flags displayed on a staff or pole are actually stored in an entirely different way. According to Hendricks, these flags are rolled around the staff and covered with a protective burlap case, a method that makes them easier to transport and store, much like luggage. So, while the triangular fold is a respected tradition, especially for ceremonial flags, it is not the only correct way to store the stars and stripes. With so many traditions and customs surrounding the American flag, it's easy to see how myths emerge over time. But we're not done yet. Up next, we'll debunk one of the biggest misconceptions of all, that the American flag should never be altered in design. Myth number 11. A flag with fewer than 50 stars should not be flown. Some believe that once a new version of the American flag is introduced, older flags become obsolete and should no longer be displayed. But the truth is, every officially recognized U.S. flag remains a living flag, worthy of honor and respect, no matter how many stars it bears. This means that flags with 48 stars, 49 stars, or even the original 13-star design are still legitimate symbols of American history. They can continue to be flown until they become unserviceable, just like any modern flag. Of course, the flag's design does evolve. Whenever a new state joins the Union, a star is added to the flag on the next 4th of July. The last time this happened was on July 4, 1960, after Hawaii became the 50th state. So, if you ever see a flag with fewer than 50 stars proudly waving, know that it's not outdated, it's a piece of American heritage. Now, let's address a common question about patriotism in schools. Are students really required to salute the flag or recite the Pledge of Allegiance? Myth number 12. Students are required to salute the flag or recite the Pledge of Allegiance in public schools. For decades, students across the United States have stood, placed their hands over their hearts, and recited the Pledge of Allegiance at the start of the school day. Many assume this is a mandatory practice, but legally, it is not required. In the 1943 Supreme Court case West Virginia State Board of Education versus Barnett, the justices ruled that forcing students to salute the flag or say the pledge violated their First Amendment rights to freedom of speech and religion. The case was sparked by two Jehovah's Witness students who refused to salute the flag due to their religious beliefs. After they were expelled, their father, Walter Barnett, challenged the law. The Supreme Court ruled in their favor, setting a powerful precedent. No one, child or adult, can be forced to pledge allegiance to the flag. Today, while many schools still offer the Pledge of Allegiance as part of morning routines, students have the right to opt out without punishment. The truth behind the myths. The American flag is one of the most powerful symbols in history, a banner of freedom, unity, and resilience. Over the centuries, traditions, stories, and myths have surrounded it, shaping the way people perceive its meaning. But as we've seen, not everything we believe about the flag is true. From the origins of its colors to the rules of displaying it, many long-held ideas are based on misinterpretations, assumptions, or patriotic legends rather than historical fact. Yet, one thing remains certain: the American flag continues to inspire and unite, standing as a testament to the ever-evolving story of the United States. So the next time you see the stars and stripes waving in the wind, you'll know the real history behind it, and the truth behind the myths.